The two were exploring a snowy hillside in the Franklin Basin of northeastern Utah on snowmobiles when an avalanche came barreling toward them, burying Hunter.
Felt like you were in a washing machine, just tumbled, and then it just compacted into what felt like concrete. Couldn't breathe, I couldn't do anything.
Braden, who was higher up on the hill, watched as the snow overtook his older brother, who wasn't able to get back to his snowmobile in time to outpace the avalanche.
I turned around to watch the slide hit Hunter and then just watched him kind of get tumbled and buried and then lost sight of him.
Braden activated a beacon, a device that showed him Hunter's location. Hunter had been pushed about 150 yards from where he was just moments before.
I could see his hand, his gloves kind of poking out, waving. But by the time I got to him, he was about 2 feet. His head was about 2 feet under the snow and just cleared the snow away from his head and got his helmet off so that he could start breathing again, and then just started digging his body out from there.
Experts say the brothers did almost everything right. But going into an avalanche path can have deadly consequences.
What are the top recommendations folks should do to protect themselves in case of an avalanche?
People need to access the avalanche forecast for the day. People need to not go alone, but also go one at a time through avalanche paths while your partners watch from a safe location. And you need to have all the right safety or rescue equipment, a transceiver, a probe, and a shovel.
One wrong move almost turned a Christmas Eve adventure into a family tragedy. This new dad grateful for his brother's quick thinking.
I told him I was on my last breath. I mean, I tried to hold it in as much as I could. I feel very blessed and lucky to, have him, with his quick thinking and hurrying down to me with his sled and his beacon and, shovel and got me out of there.
Our thanks to Adrian Broadus for that report. Ahead of this weekend, the Utah Avalanche Center sent out a warning to those hitting the slopes, saying that avalanche conditions will be common in the area and are expected to rise. Well, coming up this morning, a murder case that has fascinated America for more than 3 decades brought back into the spotlight in 2024. After the break, we'll take a look back at the reemergence of the Menendez brothers case and the renewed interest online thanks to social media and a hit documentary. You're watching Morning News Now.
Lester Holt, America's most trusted TV news anchor.
The NBC News mobile app. Get connected to your favorite news shows. For the top stories, breaking news, and live video, download the NBC News mobile app now.
News lives in the now. It's coming at us every second. News is more now than ever.
This monster and historic storm is set to make landfall.
Now is raw.
What was your initial reaction?
Devastating.
Now is real.
Recess appointments. I'm going to ask you to put this into the plainest English possible.
Now is constant.
You gotta see this.
The future is now. News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
Mornings are full of possibility and energy. And how you get set for the day ahead matters. Take charge of those first hours. It's about getting caught up. And really, it's about getting ahead. And that's what drives us every morning, because every day deserves the best start.
News lives in the now.
All of that snow fell in a matter of days.
Food and medicine, this time being dropped over southern Gaza.
It looks like hot lava.
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
The NBC News mobile app. Get connected to your favorite news shows. For the top stories, breaking news, and live video, download the NBC News mobile app now.
We're back now with a critical health alert for cat owners. A pet food company in Oregon is now issuing a voluntary recall after one of its products tested positive for bird flu. And as an animal sanctuary in Washington reports, that's now claimed the lives of 20 of its big cats. NBC News correspondent David Noriega has the latest.
A nationwide voluntary recall of pet food linked to bird flu, with the Oregon Department of Agriculture blaming a raw pet food product for the death of a house cat. The case prompting Northwest Naturals to recall a batch of its feline turkey recipe product, telling consumers across 12 states to toss any 2-pound frozen bags with sell-by dates in May or June of 2026. It's only the latest case of a domestic cat catching the virus.
Viruses are very sneaky. They mutate very easily. Viruses are always looking for the next species that they can enter into.
With health authorities in Los Angeles still investigating the death of 2 cats linked to bird flu in raw milk. Experts say this strain of avian influenza can be deadly to mammals, and cats are especially vulnerable. That includes big cats, with the virus claiming the lives of 20, including a tiger, at a sanctuary in Washington state.
What should pet owners do to protect their pets, especially their cats, from bird flu?
The most common thing is if you have an indoor cat, is keep them indoors. You have eliminated the majority of the sources there. Also, you do not want the raw foods that we hear out there.
With raw food a tiny fraction of the pet food market, most pet owners can rest easy. David Noriega, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Now to some growing concerns for cancer patients. Some people who are battling the disease already are also now battling their own insurance companies. As NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk explains, some are facing difficult choices even when they have a doctor's note.
Kay Sue has been battling cancer for nearly a decade. One of the hardest moments was in 2018. The cancer returned, stage 4, metastatic.
Did it feel like a death sentence in that moment?
Absolutely. And it still does. It's almost like being on death row and just waiting. All of my off-label drugs.
Remarkably, she was able to battle the cancer back, but her oncologist said it could return again, and PET scans were key to detecting it.
How often do you have to get the PET scans?
Should be 4 to 5 months.
A schedule she followed until her private health insurance changed to Cigna. And she says the company wouldn't pay for the screening.
They thought it was not medically necessary.
Does your oncologist think it's medically necessary?
Yes.
So does Dr. Ashley Sumrall from the American Society of Clinical Oncology.
PET scans are all part of accepted guidelines. That means that multiple experts agree that a PET scan is appropriate.
But Cigna refused to pay for the scans, which can cost $10,000 to $15,000 each. Sue's doctor appealed and was denied. With the delay in her screening, Sue worried the cancer would return. Angela Pike understands that struggle well. Her husband, Tracy, was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer in 2023.
He was so sick, he went from a 250-pound man to about 130 pounds.
Tracy's doctors in Louisville ran out of strategies to help him. They said he needed HIPEC surgery, a kind of chemotherapy that a cancer center in Houston agreed to perform.
It was about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, the night before the surgery, where we got a phone call from the surgeon himself that the insurance had actually denied the surgery.
In the denial letter, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois said HIPEC was experimental. But here's what the American Society of Clinical Oncology says.
HIPEC is no longer considered experimental. It has crossed the threshold into widely available treatments.
But not for the Pike family, whose surgeon appealed, only to be denied. At one point, the mother of 3 took to TikTok with her guitar, hoping someone might be able to help them.
Surgery was only $42,000. They put a price tag on my husband's life, and they decided he wasn't worth $42,000.
How desperate did you feel in those moments?
It doesn't get more desperate than opening up your guitar case and standing in front of a hospital in 100-degree weather in Houston.
He never got the treatment. Instead, his cancer spread. And roughly a year after his diagnosis, Tracy Pike died at the age of 46.
Are you left wondering what would have happened if he had gotten that procedure?
There are definitely a lot of days where I've thought about that.
In a 2022 survey, clinical oncology professionals were asked about the effect health insurance authorization had on patient care. 87% said they resulted in denials of therapy. 80% said they resulted in disease progression. 36% said they resulted in patient death. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, Pike's insurance company, declined to comment on her husband's case, adding, "We are committed to increasing access to safe, appropriate, and effective health care based on the best available information and research." Sue's insurer, Cigna, tells NBC News, "We strive to do our best to ensure that each person gets the appropriate care as quickly and easily as possible. We fell short for Miss Sue." Cigna contacted Sue after NBC News reached out to the company for comment on our story. Sue did ultimately get that PET scan this fall, she says, but only after her employer paid for it out of pocket.
Your health is in the hands of an insurance company. Do you feel like they care about your well-being?
No, I don't think so. As a result of me fighting for that PET scan, I found out that I have metastasis to my liver.
The screening that had been delayed confirmed her worst fears. Her cancer has returned. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, New York.
Some heartbreaking stories there, Stephanie. Thanks. Well, one of the top stories of 2024 began with a crime dating back decades. The case against the Menendez brothers seemed open and shut, but a hit show, along with the power of social media, brought it back into the spotlight. Here's Dateline NBC's Keith Morrison.
One of the biggest crime stories of the year is 35 years old. The murder of Kitty and Jose Menendez, popping up all over TikTok.
They should be walking free on the sidewalks.
The brothers' supporters go beyond social media to Hollywood. Here's Kim Kardashian speaking to Variety.
I feel like they just never had that fair chance, and imagine if no one believed you.
Interest in the case ballooned with the release of the dramatized Netflix series Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, which hit more than 4 billion minutes viewed in the first 10 days. The real story began August 20th, 1989. Initially, Lyle and Eric Menendez pointed the finger at the mob, but by March of 1990, Beverly Hills police had enough evidence to arrest the brothers. Could you believe it?
No.
But then Kitty's niece, Diane Hernandez, said Lyle confessed to her when she visited him in jail. Did he offer you any explanation?
No, not at the time.
What's your full name and spell your last name?
Joseph Lyle Menendez.
At trial, the explanation would come out for the first time in graphic, emotional terms about what the brothers said were the darkest secrets of their family.
Between the ages of 6 and 8, did your father have sexual contact with you?
Yes.
They testified they had been sexually abused by their father.
He would have me give him oral sex.
Lyle said it all boiled over 3 days before the murders when he confronted Jose.
I told him I would tell everybody everything about him. I would tell the police, and that I would tell the family.
In 2017, Lyle told me that weekend he was afraid of what his dad might do. In preparation, he and his brother had secretly purchased shotguns because, he said,
we knew that we were in grave danger.
The jurors were torn. The trial was hung. 2 years later, when they were tried again, evidence of sexual assault was contested and restricted, and the brothers were convicted.
The verdict was guilty on all counts.
They were sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Case closed. Until 2024, when new generations who've grown up after Me Too got interested.
The Menendez brothers should be freed.
Then the Los Angeles District Attorney, George Gascon, said Lyle and Eric's sentence should be reduced, based solely on their exemplary behavior in prison.
We're going to recommend to the court that the life without the possibility of parole be removed.
But before that could happen, George Gascon was voted out of office. And the new DA, Nathan Hochman, said, hold on.
I will do a thorough review of the facts.
And after, the brothers Menendez will rejoin the great wide world or stay where they are, in their small one. For Dateline NBC, I'm Keith Morrison.
Well, when we return, you may have not won the Mega Millions jackpot earlier this week, but you have more than 1 billion reasons to play today. We're looking ahead to tonight's Mega Billions drawing with a whole lot of eyes on that massive prize. We'll be right back.
From inside Iran, from Israel, from Tampa, Hurricane Milton is here. Where we're standing right now is covered in water. Part of our continued reporting. A little increase. Thanks for talking to me.
News lives in the now.
Look at this. You can't even see anything anymore.
Let's break down what we know.
You gotta see this.
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
Still to come on the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now. Still too close to call. Lester Holt reporting from the
Ground Zero, as it's being referred to.
It is, in fact, the taste of freedom. The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. What's the biggest risk right now? Some of the troops who have been proud. I want to welcome you to the first presidential debate. In fact, we've been told we can't go any farther. Here are some resilient folks. Let me get a hint.
Is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Do you think that the president-elect should have his picks confirmed? Tariffs. Do you think it's a bluff? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
News lives in the now.
Look at this. You can't even see anything anymore.
Let's break down what we know.
You gotta see this.
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
Mornings are full of possibility and energy, and how you get set for the day ahead matters. It's about getting caught up and getting ahead, because every day deserves the best start.
Is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Do you think that the president-elect should have his picks confirmed? Tariffs. Do you think it's a bluff? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
The NBC News mobile app. Get connected to your favorite news shows. For the top stories, breaking news, and live video, download the NBC News mobile app now.
Lester Holt, America's most trusted TV news anchor. NBC News Daily is #1 for afternoon news across all of television.
And more. Radford.
I'm Vicki Wynn.
I'm Kate Snow.
And I'm Zinklea Samwa.
What's happening around the world?
Israel's military is building up. There along the border.
And what matters here at home?
New numbers are out today showing more encouraging signs for our economy.
Let's zero in on exercise. We know we're supposed to be doing it. What does it do for our health?
What needs to change for social media to be a safer place?
NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now.
News lives in the now.
Look at this. You can't even see anything anymore.
Let's break down what we know.
You gotta see this.
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
More Americans turn to NBC News than any other news organization.
Welcome back. If you went overboard buying those holiday gifts this year, there may be a chance to win it all back and then some. There's another Mega Millions drawing tonight. And sure, the odds are not great, but you could become a billionaire overnight. Just be ready to wait in line for one of those tickets.
It's $1 billion, isn't it? That's a big one.
Trying to get lucky on the mega. With all that money, you know, it's more money than I could ever spend in my life. So just to make a lot of people happy. That's what I want to do.
The Mega Millions jackpot is now $1.15 billion to be exact, after no winner came forward to claim that prize.